In this video, we're going to learn how to change an accent. But before we start trying to change anything, we had first better define what is an accent. If I speak in a Cockney accent from London, what am I doing differently? Switching to any Scottish accent is going to be different from any English accent, but why? When I change accent, I actually consciously change four things: vowels, consonants, stress, and tone, which can be further grouped into two categories: sounds and intonation. And this is true of non-native English accents as well. So Spanish, Polish, Japanese, all English accents are unique in these four ways. So if you want to change the way you sound, you need to study these areas. In this video, I'm going to show you how to study these things so you can gain the skills to alter the way your English sounds. We're going to study the four topics based on the accent I'm speaking in now, which is called General British, Standard Southern, or Modern RP. All of those names apply to this same accent. So the video is in four parts: vowels, consonants, stress, and tone. There are links below for interactive quizzes on the Pronunciation Studio website if you'd like to check you've understood the key concepts of each part. Each part is 5 minutes long roughly, and you can see the timings here. Each bit stands alone, so you don't need to do them in order if you don't want to. Right, let's get started. Vowels are the glue that holds speech together. GB English has 20 vowel sounds, which you can see here. To learn them, there are three things you need to get right. Firstly, the position of your mouth, especially the tongue. Secondly, the length, as English vowels can be very long, very short, and anything in between. Finally, the selection. You need to choose the right sound. Spellings can help, but not always. In order to master an English accent, you need to study these three areas. In this lesson, I'm going to take you through all of them, and we're going to say all of the British English vowel sounds. Let's start with position. Every vowel sound has a different shape of the mouth. We move three things to make the shape: the tongue, the jaw, and the lips. And of these, by far the most important is the tongue. Essentially, the tongue goes forwards and backwards as we speak. If it's forwards, an example would be E. If it's back, or. Just take a moment to feel the difference. E, or. Using just those two positions is fine if you're a donkey, Eeyore, but we need a few more in order to speak English. So if you stop halfway between E and or, you get to Once again, E, or. And so now we've got a central sound in between. So now we've established the front, centre, and back sounds, let's add another variable: space. This is how open the mouth or jaw is when we create the vowel sound. So English has 5 front vowels, and we're going to go from close to open at the front. So E, beat, I, bit, E, bet, air, bear, a, bat. Notice we're increasing the space each time there. Now let's do the central vowels. We have 5 of those: oo, boot, better, bird, bud, bard. And we have 3 back vowels, and we'll notice the lips rounding a bit as we go to the back: book, or, board, bot. So those are the 13 monophthongs of GB English. These are single positions of the mouth. We also have diphthongs. These are sounds that move from one position to another: ear, beard, a, bait, ow, about, o, boat, I, bite, oi, boy. And there's another diphthong, ua, bua, but this isn't really used these days. The monophthong or is preferred, so bore. Note that each sound has a symbol, and you may have seen different ones before for some of the sounds. Different dictionaries might prefer different symbols, but it's important to remember that the sound itself is the same. So, we've seen the mouth positions of the 20 English vowels. This is by far the most important aspect of vowel sounds that every learner needs to master. Quite simply, if your tongue isn't in the right place, the sound won't be right. But mouth position is not the only aspect to vowel sound production. Next up is length. Take a look at these words. Which one of these is longest? Note that I say which one. Now have a listen. Bit, bid, beat, bead. You can hear that bead is clearly the longest, and the other three are about the same length. They're all quite short. But in the dictionaries, it looks like beat is long too. This is a very important aspect of accent training. You need to be aware that vowel sounds in English can lengthen and shorten depending on the surrounding sounds. Beat is shorter than bead because of the t, which is voiceless. But in speech, any of these vowels could also lengthen if they are stressed.
Do you want some more cake?
I'll have a bit. Note that when I lengthen the vowel, the position of my tongue stays the same. Bit. So the crucial aspect of a vowel is position, not length. So far, we've seen the two most important aspects of English vowels for learners of pronunciation: position and length. Finally, we need to look at their spellings. Owing to the strange history of English, where it imported words from all over the place, especially French, but all the time using a Germanic pronunciation system and no standardized way to spell any of it, we've ended up with a bit of a mess. Some words are irregular and random. Others follow rules that we can use to choose the sound confidently, like these. I won't go into these in this lesson, except to explain that the way to master sound selection is to learn the possible spellings for each sound, and then learn any exceptions. This way you'll know exactly what to pronounce, and if you don't, then using the IPA transcriptions in the dictionary will sort you out. So there you have it. The English vowel system is tricky. Certainly trickier than a lot of languages, owing to its wide-ranging mouth positions, variable lengths, and many irregular spellings. But it's not impossible. These things can be learned through learning the theory, doing plenty of repetition, and the use of a good dictionary. Whereas vowels shape the mouth, consonants form a closure so that air is blocked as it is released from the body. Each of these 24 consonant sounds represent a unique blocking noise. There are three things to consider as we block the air. Voice. Are we using the voice box? Place. Where are we blocking the air? And manner. How are we blocking the air? All consonants can be categorized in this way. To nail an accent, you need to get these things right on each sound. Let's start with voicing.
F, th, s, sh, p, t, k, ch.
Are voiceless sounds. Notice I'm whispering.
V, th, z, j.
B, d, g, j, w, r, y, l, are voiced. When we voice a sound, our vocal folds vibrate a bit like a bee's wings buzzing. As we speak, we are constantly starting and stopping this voicing. For a simple example, compare s and z with your finger on your throat. You'll notice that s has no vibration, whereas z has a lot of vibration. It's voiced. So consonants are either voiced or voiceless. The next thing to consider is place. Where are we stopping the air? In English, we use places from the lips all the way down to the throat, and I'm going to show you all of the sounds going from the front to the back, starting with the lips. bilabial sounds. P, b, mm. You may notice that as I made the p sound, I released a little puff of air. This is called aspiration, and it means that an English p might be a bit different from the p in your language. Next is teeth on lip.
V,
These are labiodental. Now, with the tongue behind or between the teeth, we'll make the dental sounds.
v,
These are actually the two th sounds in English. Now, the tongue is making contact on or around the ridge behind the teeth. These are alveolar. T, d, n, s, z, l, r. For the r, the tongue moves past without touching. Slightly further back are the palatoalveolar sounds. Sh, zh, ch, j. Then we have palatal y. And with the tongue up at the back, we can make velar sounds.
g, mm.
That last one is the ng sound in singing along. And finally, we have the glottal sound, made in the throat. So we've seen voicing and place. The final part of the consonant jigsaw is the type or manner of articulation. Note that these sounds are in groups. This is because each group has a specific way of blocking the air. This group are plosives, so there's a complete block, often followed by an explosion of air. T, g. This group are fricatives. These are squeezy sounds. F, s, zh. Then we have affricates, which is a plosive releasing into a fricative. Ch, j. This group are approximants. These are kind of smooth vowel-like sounds. W, r, y. And finally, we have nasals, which are released through the nose. Consonant sounds are blocks of air defined by voicing, place, and manner. But this isn't the whole story. We saw earlier that voiceless bilabial plosive p was a bit different in English. It's often aspirated. This is a variation of the basic sound, and in pronunciation, this kind of variation is known as an allophone. To give you an example, look at this word. Now in England, you could hear many different pronunciations of that T. Waiter, waitser, waiter, waser, wader, waiter. You may recognise that last one from some English accents such as Cockney, but in reality all native speakers use a variety of T sounds. In order to produce the subtleties of an accent, allophones are an essential element. When it comes to accent work, you don't need to practice every consonant sound. Some will be very similar to those in your first language, so the key is to find which of the 24 sounds you find difficult and practice them until you can produce them easily. We are all familiar with the concept of stress in language. It's where we place emphasis, right? But here's the thing, what do we do when we stress? What do we physically do? Well, you will notice that when I said do in that last sentence, I physically changed three things. The volume, the length, and the pitch. It was higher. So as we work on some examples of stress, think about doing those three things. There are two places where stress is important, in words and in sentences. In words, it's usually fixed. So in interesting, it's on the first syllable. In internal, it's on the second. And in interject, it's on the last syllable. It's not normally possible to tell by looking at a word in English where the stress goes. So you need to learn the right place either through listening to the words or using dictionary transcriptions, which will show you. In sentences, though, a different approach is needed because we can actually choose where to place our stresses. To show how sentence stress works, I'm going to use some examples, and we should see a pattern emerging. Where would you place the stress here? Listen, BBC. So my main stress was on C. There was some stress on the first B and no stress on the second B. BBC. This sentence is the same word repeated 3 times. But the key thing about English stress is that they won't be equal. Which one is biggest? There has to be a main stress. Bang, bang, bang. Again, the last one was biggest, the first one was stressed, and the middle one was not. Bang, bang, bang. BBC. Now, have a look at a more normal sentence. Applying the same approach, we get main stress on shops and some stress on let's. The rest of the words are quite weak. Let's go to the shops. In fact, to and the have the same weak vowel sound when they're unstressed. Let's shops. Let's go to the shops. B-C, BBC. Bang, 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 bang. In all of these examples, you're seeing an essential structure to English sentence stress. We tend to stress only 2 places, and the main stress tends to go on the last important word. The first stress goes on the first important word. Can you work out where they'll go here? Like ball. We don't stress today because it's not new information, since it is today now. And we don't stress I'd for the same reason. I'm the person talking. It's obvious. But you can see the structure. First stress, main stress, like ball. I'd like to buy a new ball today. Let's shops. Let's go to the shops. Bang, 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 bang. B-C, BBC. Applying this simple technique to your sentences in English can dramatically change the way you sound. What we are trying to avoid is a kind of chugging, monotonous sound. I'd like to buy a new ball today. So it's really important to hit that higher note, ball, to give our speech feeling and enthusiasm. Then crush all the other syllables together in between the stresses. Of all the accent skills, stress is probably the easiest to improve quickly. Try to listen out for the main stress, try to apply it in your own speech, and remember, we normally make stressed syllables louder, higher, longer. Tone is the movement in pitch of your voice as you speak. We are always somewhere in between a high pitch and a low pitch, and everyone's range is a bit different. The key skill with tone is the movement in pitch. So I can say the word yes in 4 ways. Yes, 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 yes. And I could use a completely flat pitch as well. Yes. But we don't do this on every single word. In fact, there is only one significant movement in pitch in each phrase we say. Have a look at this sentence. I'm going to leave today. 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 In this example, the main stress is on leave and the first stress is on go. The tone is quite flat until the main stress, and that is where the pattern happens, from the main stress to the end. You might feel like each of these patterns has a different meaning, and they can do to an extent. I'm going to leave today sounds like a statement. I'm going to leave today sounds like a question. I'm going to leave today sounds like there's some more information to come. And I'm going to leave today sounds very enthusiastic. But these meanings aren't fixed. English isn't a tone language. The tone itself doesn't change the meaning of the words. On top of this, every speaker has their own unique way of using tone. For this reason, tone can be a bit confusing and vague to study. So to keep it practical, focus on 3 areas. Main stress. This is in every sentence or unit of speech we say, and it is essential to find it. Tone is built around this main stress, always. Pitch. This is the height of your voice. The higher you go, the more enthusiastic you sound. But don't overdo it. Too high is annoying. Too low is bored. Pattern. This is about using pitch movements in your speech. The main ones to focus on are falling, la, rising, la, and full rising, la. But remember, nobody thinks about these things as they speak. Nobody decides which intonation pattern they will use. With practice, you will find that hearing and producing tone becomes easier and natural. The framework for practicing is these three areas: stress, pitch, pattern. So, using combinations of these, we can approach intonation in a really practical way. So actually, this gives us 12 different ways of saying this question. Let's have a go. Are you here? 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 If you are new to studying intonation, it might take a while before you can clearly distinguish those different patterns. Don't worry, this is absolutely normal. The key to developing this awareness is repetition.